The land was dry, not just dusty, bone dry. The sky over Sidon and the hills beyond held heat like a lid. Wells were low, crops were thin, and the chatter of the marketplace had been replaced by the quiet, careful calculations of survival. Elijah, the prophet, had come to this edge of the world because God told him to. He was a weathered man, cloak rough with travel, beard threaded with dust, eyes that had seen famine and fire. He carried no comfort but a single staff and a hard steadiness in his step. God told Elijah to settle near a widow's home in Zarephath, a foreign woman, not an Israelite, and during these days of famine, she was the poorest of the poor. Her jars were empty. Her last handful of flour was counted like treasure. The widow was real in the way hunger makes people real. Quick hands, a narrow, watchful look, a child clinging close. She had a thin robe faded from sun, a wrapped headscarf, and the kind of eyes that measured risks like prayers. I can almost see her counting the last grains by lamplight. Elijah asked her for water and bread. She answered with the plain truth nobody wanted to say. She had only a handful of flour and a little oil, enough to make one last meal for her and her child, and then nothing. The famine had closed off every other hope. She could have shut the door. She could have clutched the flour and walked away. Instead, she did something braver. She listened to a voice calling through hunger, and she shared. With trembling hands, she measured, mixed, and baked the small flatbread. Elisha did not come to her as a magistrate demanding payment. He came as a messenger of a promise. He said the words that cut through fear. "Make me a small cake first, and bring it to me. Afterward, you may make for yourself and your son." It was faith in its simplest, sharpest form. Act now as if provision already flows. The widow obeyed. She fed the prophet. She gave the first of the last, and then waited with the kind of held breath that makes a person either sink or rise. Days turned into a surprising small miracle. The jar of flour did not run out. The oil did not dry up. Each morning there was enough, not abundance, but enough, bread to bake, oil to light the hearth. In the middle of famine, in a widow's house, God made provision. This was not magic in a fool's tale. It was a promise kept through obedience. The widow's faith, a single small act of trust, became a channel for life, for her family, and for the prophet who had obeyed God's call to be where the need was worst. The widow of Zarephath teaches a truth we forget in times of plenty, that generosity is not first a feeling, but a choice. When you give the first of the last, you open a channel, and sometimes that channel is how grace arrives.